Hello, BookTube. I'm going to go over some of the books I'm going to try to read this month. There's kind of a good mix, I guess. I'll start with one of my favorite writers, Robert A. Heinlein, which he's a classic, Farnham's Freehold. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill. All the lights went out and there was a noise like a giant subway trains. As terrifying as On the Beach, as fascinating as the Swiss Family Robinson, this sci-fi classic of catastrophe and survival, it is the story of a man and his family who turned a nuclear disaster into a chance to start the world all over again. The right way this time. So that is Farnham's Freehold by Robert A. Heinlein. He wrote Starship Troopers, which was a pretty good book. I enjoyed it. Looking forward to reading this. It doesn't look like it's going to take too long. The print's pretty bold, so should be pretty easy. So, you guys know I watched a couple years ago, it was Breaking Bad, and I'm like, Walter White, because in the back of the toilet, I guess, the DEA, his brother-in-law, found a book, and I actually went and found a copy of it. Walt Whitman, Leaves of Grass. Poems is what it is, and I like poetry books, so this will be pretty fun. They always inspire something in you. These are the incomparable poems of one of America's greatest poets, an exuberant, passionate man who loved his country and wrote of it as no other has ever done. So, there's a picture of him. There. So that's something I'm looking forward to. It's been sitting on my shelf for like 2 years now, so I think it's time for me to get to it. And everyone's favorite writer, it seems, Stephen King, Dolores Claiborne. So that's going to be an interesting read, I guess. And then I seen the movie probably 8 years ago, Fatherland by Robert Harris, which is an alternative history where the Germans win the Second World War and then they try to cover up the Holocaust. So, Berlin, 1964, Hitler reigns supreme. It is 20 years after Nazi Germany's triumphant victory in World War II. So that's something I'm going to read. That way I can take it off my shelf. So there's that. And then there's a 1960s dime store novel, Out of Body Experiences by Celia Green. And that's maybe a 2-hour read, if that. Kind of breaks down out of body experiences, which is something I've always been interested in. It was published in, if I can find the publication date, well, it's 95 cents, so that says something, doesn't it? 1968. So, dime store novel. And then another one of my favorite science fiction authors, and this book has been beat to hell and back, Alan Dean Foster, Nor Crystal Tears. So, might be a pretty good book to get into. As you can tell, there's a praying mantis. Says, in the beginning, before man and insect-like Thranks had become allies, when the reptilian Aad were just occasional raiders of Thranks colony worlds, one young Thranks agricultural expert lived a life of quiet desperation. A dreamer in a world of sensible, stable beings, Vio buried himself in his work reclaiming marshland from a tenacious jungle until he came across a letter describing a relative's encounter with a horrid, two-legged, soft-skinned, space-going beasts. So, I guess it's from this guy's, right here's, perspective, which is always pretty cool. James Lovegrove, you guys all know I like him. I've reviewed most of his books. I actually have one downstairs I've got to review. It's called The Age of Ra. It was pretty good. This one's called The Age of Shiva. So, looking forward to that. A lot of these books I have to go to thrift books. I think I paid like $3.99 for that, so it was a pretty good deal. And then, sticking with mythology, Edith Hamilton. I think I read it in middle school, but I figured why not brush up. The classic bestseller Mythology by Edith Hamilton. So, yeah. So these are the books I'm going to try to read this month if I'm able to wring out the time from my daily activities. But they say if something's worth doing, you'll find time to do it. So I look forward to reading your comments. Oh, and I forgot this one. Brian Keane, Dark Hollow. So he's another one of my favorite writers. You guys are like, why, Ben? You have so many obscure writers. Sometimes the best obscure authors are the best because they're not held by convention. So, looking forward to reading these. I'll try to put reviews up. I have a couple books I need to review. One was by Harry Turtledove. I think it was along the lines of The Case of the Magical Spell Dump, which was actually pretty good. Stupid title, good book. Okay. I shall see you guys later.